Chaulia. Is that correct?
You have me right.
Are you able to hear me, Sreeram?
Yes, thank you.
What's your initial analysis on what's happened?
Well, I have only two possibilities in mind. One is that it's another failure of regulation by the state of Texas and by the US government at large of private corporations that have not adhered to safety regulations. It seems like a reprisal of the Gulf of Mexico oil spill by BP.
Yeah,
when we know
to be
that,
fair,
so that's the one. The other one is possibly, it's a terrorist attack potentially linked to the old story of anarchists and these religious cults in Texas and their anniversary, which happens in April.
But I would,
so there are two possibilities. But
I'll stop you there, Mr. Chaulia. I'll stop you there, Mr. Chaulia. Can I just butt in? Can you just hear me? What you've said there is conjecture. We do not know the cause of this accident and what might have caused it. So what you're saying is speculation. But, I mean, what are you basing that on?
Well, the track record shows that America, especially the state of Texas, has consistently deregulated under Republican regimes. It was earlier with Jeb Bush and now with Rick Perry. Rick Perry is on record saying that I wake up every morning trying to make government as inconsequential for the people as possible. So if government doesn't play a role in regulating industries and in ensuring safety standards, you have, the same issue, in the Soviet era, it was Chernobyl. In India, we had Bhopal. And it looks like this is another major industrial calamity that can be pinpointed to the failure of the state to regulate private industry properly. I mean, this is... it's commonsensical, the speculation I'm doing. The other one, of course, is that it could be a terrorist attack. But either way, it represents state failure. And unfortunately for America, it's coming right on the heels of a recent terrorist attack in Boston. So it looks like, sometimes misfortune comes in a pile. And that's what's happening right now. And it's revealing some of the weaknesses of the US state and its regulatory architecture.
OK, so we hear from you there. You're speculating about the causes and potentially breaches in security and perhaps lapses in safety also. What do you think will be the reaction from Washington?
Well, I think, President Obama has been trying to re-regulate some of the loose and completely out of control sectors of the US economy. Chemicals, this is a fertilizer plant, chemicals, energy, pharmaceuticals. These are some of the biggest lobbies in American capitalism. And these are the ones that have been fighting hard, tooth and nail, to prevent any kind of reasonable regulations that would benefit the public. So this is the time when I think, the federal government will need to, push harder to try and change the scenario. Otherwise, be it guns or be it, energy or now chemicals, it looks like America is in disrepair. And for it to emerge out of it, they will need a stronger hand coming from the central government, which unfortunately is nowhere to be seen because of the power of the lobbies in the US Congress.
And what can we expect about the consequences of what might follow now in terms of the people that have been affected, those that have been killed, those whose health has been badly affected? But you also hear now that people are suffering from the effects of inhalation of toxic fumes. From your view, what do you believe that we can expect to see in the aftermath?
Well, in India in 1984, we had this great industrial disaster of Bhopal. And I still remember initially it was thought to be a localized one and could be contained. It ended up, killing nearly 20,000 people, and the effects of them are still of that tragedy is still with the people of central India in Bhopal. So I think we are living in a time when the environment and all these core concerns of the earth are being disregarded by very, very greedy capitalist lobbies. And the point is that the states are all being called upon to step in and save the societies and to play a protective role and to regulate these industries better. And I must say that, what has happened in Texas is symptomatic of the larger issue of a world economy where we have lost any moorings in terms of how to regulate and manage capitalist industries. And unfortunately, this is repeating itself after the BP oil spill, which proved clearly that regulators were unable to rein in some of these oil sharks. So is this the same case now happening with chemicals and with fertilizers and other sectors in Texas? We'll have to wait and see. But I feel clearly either it's a security lapse or it's a failure of regulation. No matter what the outcome and the verdict is, both of them show how weakened the state structures have been in these neoliberal economies like the United States and the UK and elsewhere. And the call, I think, the ultimate significance of these kind of tragedies will be for people to push for stronger regulation of these greedy corporations that are completely disregarding people's lives in the search for short-term profits.
And just finally, look, details are still very sketchy. We're not entirely sure what sort of chemicals are involved and what might be the long-term effects. But from your opinion and what you've experienced, particularly your knowledge of Bhopal, potentially what could be the damage?
Oh, I hope. I mean, if it's ammonia, as they are saying, and I'm not a scientist, but I feel that it could waft into the air and spread further and further, and they may have to evacuate within a certain radius. Fukushima, we saw that in Japan. Again, you know, the nuclear industry was in cahoots with the regulators, and they got away with a lot of shortcuts and you know. It's like, you know, penny wise, pound foolish, as the saying goes. What these corporations do is, you know, try to cut corners in order to balance their sheets and to gain marginal profits. But in the process, the disaster and the loss to the society and to the global commons is tremendous. So I would not like to speculate about how far it will go and how soon it can be contained. But certainly, I think they will need emergency. They have to be on a war footing now to try and limit the damage to the actual epicenter and not let it spread further. America, of course, has the technology and the governmental machinery to respond. But the bigger question is that the failure at the start, as in the cause, we need to probe this deeper and to say how these things could have been prevented, why they're not being prevented, why do we keep having gun rages every 1 or 2 months or 3 months in this country, and then it goes back to normal. So these are some of the core public policy issues of regulation and why the state has repeatedly failed to do justice to its own people.
OK, we do have to leave it there. Mr. Chaulia, thank you very much for your time. That's World Affairs Analyst Professor Sreeram Chaulia.